Okay, so for this entry into your visual journal, we are working with rhythm via repetitive forms. In art, we have 4 basic forms that we can usually use to break down any complex image. Okay, so for example, if you're drawing someone's face, you might want to look at a sphere to help get their top of their head or even the dimensions of the shading of the face. If you're drawing more like a limb or you want to use a cylinder to help create that basic 3D form. Cone might be for something like flowers, anything that has more of a conal shape. And then depending on the item, you might need to reference a cubular shape as well. So these are our 4 basic forms. We will refer to these often as we are drawing, okay? So for this journal entry, you are going to be given a set of papers that look like this. You should have the 4 basic forms shaded, and then you should have empty or blank forms, okay? So the first task with this journal is that you are going to practice shading them so that they match our example on this worksheet, okay? Whenever we are shading, we have the highlight, or the space where the light touches, the core shadow, or the darkest shadow, the place that's reflecting light, and then we have a cast shadow, okay, which is usually going to be on the surface where the object is sitting, okay? So, to first begin, you are going to need to shade these forms. I'm going to only show you one. We are going to be using some drawing pencils. These help us. 6B, darkest, and then slowly gets lighter until you get to 2H, which is our lightest pencil value, okay? You're welcome to try each one out on your paper or even on a scratch paper so you can kind of get an idea of how they feel. So that right there is the 6B. That would be our darkest value. Let's go in with the B. That would be sort of a medium value. You still have to vary your pressure though, okay? Even though these are meant to help, you still have to vary your pressure. And then we're gonna go into, let's see, an HB or a 2H, okay? And that would be one of your lighter values. But again, not only is the pencil enough, you also need to vary pressure. All right, so for example, I'm going to do the cylinder. With the cylinder, I'm going to divide it up. I have the highlight, I have the core shadow, I have the reflected light, and I have the cast shadow, okay? I'm now going to take my pencils and shade in each area to match my image as best as possible, okay? So I'm going to start with the 6B. So that core shadow will be my darkest area. I'm going to shade that in first. Any sort of like a pop can I'm thinking of. A lot of water bottles, you know, those are going to be based of a cylinder form, right? So think of any daily objects that might have these forms in them. And that's how you think when you're drawing them to help make it easier to understand. Okay, so it can definitely be darker than the example. I want to make sure I have at least 4 values showing, okay? I want at least 4. So that means I'm going to need to make sure to vary my pressure, and I'm going to need to make sure to pay attention to my sections, okay? Now the highlight area should be totally white. The top of my cylinder form is in a slight shadow, but not as much of a shadow, okay? Now right now everything looks very scratchy. I'm going to show you my little trick here to get these nice blending properties. I'm not there yet. So first you put down the pigment. Then you use what is called a blending stump. This allows me to smear, smooth, and even my paper surface. Oops. All right, so this is where I'm going to be able to transition from those dark values to those light values with a nice gradation, or shifting from light to dark, slow and steady. Okay. Now, this will help, absolutely, but you may need to go in and spend more time, okay? So I would say down here, I'm going to build in a little bit more of my shadow again. A little bit was taken out from my blending stump. Right here at the bottom of the cylinder, I should have a very dark shadow at the base. okay? Now, I would continue working on this. I would probably lighten this up a little bit, and I might even take an eraser, but I don't have one right at the moment, and I would lighten this up here so that I have a more gradation from light to dark. Okay, so I want this to be a bit more smooth. Once you have shaded all 4 values, you're going to pick one to cut out. Here is my sphere that I did a little bit ago. This I'm going to incorporate into my visual journal entry for this week. Okay, so make sure that you have it open to a page. Make sure that you have labeled that page. Now, in order to create rhythm, think of music, we need to repeat. Okay, so today's challenge with your visual journal entry, not only have you colored those 4 basic forms, you're going to select one of them as part of your journal entry. I need to then create at least 5 of the same shape. Okay, so if you've chosen a circle like I have, you could trace a circle. If you have chosen the cone, you could draw the cone shape with a kind of triangle. If you've chosen the cylinder, you're going to have to draw the cylinder. If you've chosen the square, you're going to have to draw another square. So first what I'm going to do is figure out where I want this to go, and I sort of have an idea in mind. And you might have an idea in mind, or you might just have to make it up as you go. Either one is okay. Using the glue stick only today for this. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it down. Now, first couple things would be obvious. This could be a moon, right? I could definitely see that. This could be a hole in the wall, a doorknob. Okay, now depending on what form you've chosen, you're going to obviously have different impressions about what you should make. Okay, however, the rule is still the same. I need to repeat it 4 times so that I have 5 total. Okay, ooh, I'm liking how that looks like the moon and like a smaller moon, like an eclipse. All right, that would be very cool. I had a different idea in mind though. So what I'm going to do is take my stencil and start by drawing the rest of my repeated shapes. Now, can you draw more than 5? You absolutely can draw more than 5. Depending on, what your plan is here, you might need to draw more than 5. Okay, so I have my form that I've shaded, and now I'm filling in my paper with 5 of the same shapes. Okay, so I have a spherical form repeated by flat circles. You might have a 3-dimensional cone repeated by triangle shapes. You might have a cylindrical form repeated by other cylinder shapes. You might have a cube repeated by squares. Okay, so now what you're going to do then is create. I thought it would be funny. I don't know why I was thinking of this, but I was like, oh, maybe it's like little holes in the wall. I don't remember, there was some movie with like little mice in it or something. And they would always have like their adorable little setups in their house with the like human objects that they had repurposed as furniture. So this one obviously is going to have some cheese in it. Okay, this one I feel like is maybe like the opening of their little mouse house. So maybe we can see a little horizon in the distance there. Maybe this one, the little mouse is looking out at you. Okay. So again, remember to use your drawing books if ever you feel like you, need guides with drawing something. Really, the best way for you to learn is to just draw it and then, find a reference, find a guide, and then continue to draw it. There's no way that you just know how to draw something without trying. Thinking of your basic shapes and building it from there. Okay, so there's a little mouse in there. Maybe this one has a little string hanging out of it or something that they use to like rappel down or something. Maybe in the background we can see like a little picture of Grandma Mouse or something like that. With a sphere, of course, there's a lot of things. I mean, I definitely feel like I could have made that be a moon as well, and that would have been fun. But I didn't. Okay. So remember also as you're finishing these, first you're getting your idea on there, but then you do need to use your 3 materials. So you're thinking about, you know, what else is going to be in this picture and what materials am I going to use that is going to show that 3 materials. So anything that is out on the white shelves is available to you. Remember that. Okay, I'm going to make this look like it's a wall. And then I would probably go in this in here with some colored pencils. Maybe add some wood grain texture to the wall. I feel like that might be fun. I also really want to darken the little mouse holes that are here. Maybe there's like some insulation or something on the corners. If you're not sure how to fill a space, just try making like a pattern or a line and just repeat it. Really fun way to build up texture and depth when you're not really sure what else to go with. Just a little line, just repeat it, then it becomes reading as something, some sort of a texture there that is there. Little mouse family. Okay, so thank you for listening.